Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the major CGA-5 aluminum guard. It's a cylinder guard, really, is what it is. A device that is going to be used for the filling of the space from the underside of the head of the cylinder to the face of the door. And there are trim rings, there are cylinder guards, there are blocking rings. There's lots of items that go underneath the head of a cylinder, whether it be a rim or a mortise cylinder. Most typically mortise cylinders, just because they're likely far more common. But this is a typical cylinder guard. So we use the term guard, blocking ring, trim ring, but guard is special on this one, and we'll explain why that's the case. Let's start off with some dimensional properties. First, made of steel, probably hardened steel would be my guess. Yeah, hardened steel. Outside diameter, about 1 inch, and they say it's 1 3/4. It looks like it's 1 11/16. Overall height looks like it's about 1/2 inch. Another two more dimensions that you need to know. One I get asked all the time, and it's really clients just making sure, but it's the ID. You know, any standard builder's hardware mortise cylinder, rim cylinder will fit in there. The cylinders that won't would be a master ring or a jumbo that are 1.5 inch diameter. A peanut cylinder wouldn't fit in there, or certainly a mogul cylinder wouldn't fit either. So the ID of this, about 1.167. 1.167. The actual overall thickness of the guard is 0.516. But the dimension that is really important is how tall is that shoulder? How much room is your cylinder going to take up? .192, so about 3/16 of an inch. Okay. So what are you going to use this for? Let's talk about that right now. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. So you're going to use the cylinder guard in an application where you need to do something and really want to do something else. The need is to fill in the space from the underside of the head of the cylinder. Let me grab a mortise cylinder. This is a Schlage 80-103. It's a small format mortise cylinder housing. So it's an awfully long cylinder, and actually this is a great cylinder to use as an example. You get that cylinder installed, you know, you're going to need to fill in the space from the underside of the head to the back of the back of the cylinder, because this is probably 1 3/8. Yeah, indeed. I mean, that's way too long for a standard, for almost all applications. It wouldn't be too long if you had a thicker door than average, or if you had a lock location that was not centered or biased towards one side and you needed a longer cylinder. But that generally would go along with a thicker door as well. You wouldn't take 1 3/4 thick door and move that lock over drastically. You could marginally, but not much at all. So with certain cylinders, interchangeable core, absolutely. You're always going to need either a cylinder guard, a trim ring, a blocking ring, or a combination of two of those. Now, the CG, this item is sold in multiples of 5. It could be at some point in the future. I changed that, and they would be sold as each, but from major, they're sold in multiples of 5 only. So, if you recall, our shoulder was about 3/16 here, and our overall was about 1/2 inch. So that's going to leave 5/16 of an inch. So at that point, you need to take into account the wave washer that's included as well. You'll certainly want to use that because it will allow you to tighten that cylinder down one last rotation at the most to get the key vertical and keep that cylinder guard ring tight on the face of the door. It will still permit it to spin on the face of the door because that's what you want. And you'll notice it's called the cylinder guard because my fingers, they're emulating what a pipe wrench would try to do. So it's hardened steel that's conical shaped that is going to spin, so it's really going to help defeat a pipe wrench attack because this will protect the head of the cylinder. That wave washer is probably going to take up an eighth of an inch for sure, if not another 3/16, and that's going to leave you with about an eighth of an inch or the head of the cylinder itself. So you can count on this consuming about 3/8 of an inch of the total length. So if that cylinder was 1 3/8, this is going to eat up 3/8 of that space. You've got 1 inch sticking out of the back. That might be perfect. It might still be too long. If you're putting 2 cylinders back to back, it'll still be too long. And 1 3/4 inch thick door with the lock body centered in the door. That 8103 has blocking rings packaged with it as well, and you'll certainly not want to stack a blocking ring behind this, but you won't use the CG. You're going to use one of its sister products that are simply taller, which we'll take a look at now. So when you buy one, you're getting a package of 5 cylinder guards. This is in the A finish, which is powder coated aluminum, and then a package of 5 wave washers. If you use your imagination, you can see why we call it a wave washer. Let's switch to the screen view, where we're going to take a closer look at this item and all of its supporting documentation. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Here is the item that we are indeed looking at. Speaking of looking at it, let's just take a look at some photos. There is the package with the label. Cylinder Guard A Finish 5-pack. When you buy one, we're going to ship you 5. There's the contents. There's the wave washer sitting inside of the guard. Top view. Cross section. The underside. 3/16, 5/16.
AB supply.
All right, let's take a look at the extended description now. Factory image up here, by the way. Standard cylinder guard, aluminum powder coat finish, 1 3/4 diameter, forms a cone of hardened steel protection for rim and mortise cylinders. Free spinning tapered cone shape. Resistant to channel locks, vice grips, pipe wrenches. Tough hardened steel for durability. Wave washer is supplied. Used for 6 and 7 pin interchangeable type mortise and rim cylinders. Indeed, that's where cylinder guard. I mean, cylinder guards are used for all cylinder types, but they're all mortise and rim cylinder types. But they're telling you larger sizes are used for these longer cylinders. 5 in a pack. When you buy one, we'll ship you 5. Here's a product brochure. Before we, let's just let's do the dimensional drawing first. So the dimensional drawing, that's going to show us this CG item and the other items that are related to it. So here's our CG. 1/2 inch, 3/16. Okay. So now you can look down here at the CGM, well, all 4 of them, but that 7/16 and 11/16, that's a 1/4 inch. That's going to leave you about an 1/8 of an inch nominally, maybe a 1/16, when you use this cylinder collar with that 1 3/8 long housing, is what it is. So if you take that 1 3/8 cylinder and you're going to deduct from it every bit of 9/16, you're going to have a cylinder that's going to be 13/16 effective length, which is basically perfect for a cylinder. If you're going to put them back to back, I'm going to argue that you're going to need to go with the larger CGL model. Not argue, you're going to need the longer model. You're going to need an additional 1/16, which will leave you an additional 1/8 inch between the back of the 2 cylinders. And what I'm referring to on that is you got to have room. You got your 2 cams. You've got to have a little bit of room back in here in the door. So that'll leave you an 1/8 of an inch, and that should be adequate for what you're working on. The CGL. So if you're doing interchangeable core, you're going to want to have those CGLs available, and this size is, like I said, basically perfect. And CG2, CG, CGM, medium, long, standard, little short guy here. If you're doing something, you want to keep it nice and tight and petite to the face of the door. The bottom line is, when you are determining what blocking ring, trim ring, cylinder guard you need, you do have to work the math out. And I do have a formula that I think I made up, meaning I probably heard it somewhere else. But what I've come up with is door thickness minus gap plus C1 plus C2. So the door thickness is obviously the door thickness. The gap is that dimension between the, what you're going to need this is your door. Here, well, that's not your door. Your door is going to be like this, and then your cylinder guard is going to be like that. You get the concept of what's happening there. Actually, it's going to be more like this. So that gap is what I'm talking about. The plus C1 is the thickness of the collar. Plus C2 is the thickness of the other collar. All of that divided by 2 should give you the length of that cylinder. So this is a helpful formula that will allow you to determine approaching it from another direction, what cylinder, not only obviously what cylinder length you need, but what blocking, trim, or cylinder guard size you need. Regardless, there's one way or another. Okay, so my suggestion when you're figuring out collars is just double check your work and approach it from two different. Approach the answer from the left and the right. Make sure you get the same answer twice, because if you don't have the right collar, the job's not really done. And in fact, one could certainly make a argument that the security of the opening has been compromised if you don't have the right collar on it. You either can't get it installed or it's loose on the door, then that's no good. Okay, product brochure. That's going to allow you to look at all of the other cylinder collars, cylinder guards, I should say, from Major. They're pretty much on this page that we'll take a look at right here. The CG, CGM, CGL, CG2. Those were the 4 different sizes that were referenced. So you can check all that out. You can see the different finishes that the material is also available in, which is handy, which is fun to be able to see that. You'll take note that some are sold 5 per pack, some are sold 1 per pack. Given the fact that so many of these are sold 1 per pack, at some point, if there's enough demand where people are saying, well, I don't need 5, I need 2, and I'll never use 3 more, I might make a new item and break those out into each. Meaning, if you called and said I need only 3 of them, I wouldn't tell you I won't sell them to you. At that point, I would create a new item. But really handy product brochure, little indicator here to tell you what way to turn the key. It's not obvious. Doors swing 4 different ways technically. Just swinging doors, I should say. Not much else to say here, so I won't beleaguer all these points. Now, there's also a link below this video, as seen here, to the manufacturer's page. And from here, you can pull up not only all of the major products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to their full product catalog. I would very much encourage you to dive into that catalog because it is full of security hardware, locksmithing tools, and templates and jigs and other installation aids when it comes to the integrator, the locksmith, the building engineer, anybody who makes a living installing other people's equipment onto their doors. This catalog is going to prove to be something that you will be very handy to be able to refer back to. And if you're not familiar with Major, this will be, and you are a locksmith, this catalog you're going to love. We endeavor to stock a lot of the common templates that are in the last half of the catalog, and other pieces of major material as it pertains to the security industry. I happened to accidentally fall down on this page The CGA-5 is the cylinder accessory kit. This happens to include a variety of trim rings, or cylinder collars they're called, blocking rings, and then some of the CG items. There's two in aluminum, one in brass, and two in dark bronze. If you are out there and you have more than an occasional need for this material, you might want to put one of these in the truck or in the shop, because it's nice to be able to go to this plastic case and pull one out, and it just solves the problem, and away you go. Problem solved. That's handy. We generally keep one of these in stock as well. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've made it this far into this video, you must be determined to see it through to the end, and we appreciate your hanging in there with us and watching this entire video. It means a lot. It takes a lot of work to create these videos, in the sense that it's time taken away from doing other things. However, the advantage for me personally of creating these videos is the fact that it does allow myself to either learn about something new, to reacquaint myself with something, or to reinforce what I believe that I already know. Any comments that you might leave down below would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, in conclusion, if you have any questions on the Major, this is their part number CG in an A finish and a 5 multiple, or any other Major product, please feel free to reach out to us. If you are diving into the world of ordering templates for doing work, and you're not exactly sure what you need, by all means reach out to us. I had a client, and the story that I tell all the time is a client needed to install some Schlage L9000 series. Major can get there a couple of different ways. So if you're not sure which system or platform is best for you, reach out, and if I can't answer it, or if I'm not comfortable answering it, I'll reach out to the factory to make sure that you get the right tools. These are investment grade tools. These are tools that you'll have for the rest of your career, or somebody's career. And you want to make sure that you order the tool that's best suited for the work you're doing. Any questions on this or any other Major product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you. Thanks to our clients, Architectural Builders Supply is building an additional facility, and what follows is not only a look at the acreage that we're building the facility on, but also first the architectural renderings as they exist, or at least the architectural plans as they exist at this time. Thank you very much. Let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at the architecturals as they exist at this moment, or at least it wouldn't be proper to call these architecturals, but it would be proper to call them renderings in the sense of they're conceptual drawings, they're not renderings. So the entire space is going to look like this in terms of a site rendering. This will be a 22,000 square foot building, of which we'll have specific purpose areas. There'll be a workshop down here. This is a few thousand square feet that will be likely woodworking, metalworking, CNC, things of that nature. This will be an office area here, a private office area. This will be Architectural Builders Supply expanded storage area where we will be able to do fulfillment. The entire space in the center is going to be all of the volume, as I call it. Large components will be able to be stored in stock there. Machinery that's too large to fit otherwise may be put out here. Specific facility rooms, and then some recreation over here. Let's take a look at that drone footage, and thank you very much for taking a look.